So next, we have our very, very special guest that has come all the way from South Africa, the other side of the globe. Okay, he's Mr. Angajan, M.K Angajan, and he is no stranger to us. He's been here at the Vedanta Center discussing issues with us, and he's back after a long, long time. I mean, we already had 3 years of COVID, so it's been a long time. We want to warmly welcome him to today's talk. Just for those of you who may not know who this is, Mr. Angajan founded the Life Monastery Foundation, which is dedicated to the study, research, and dissemination of value education, principle-centered living, life skills, as well as higher human values, philosophical, cultural, and moral education. Through that foundation, Angajan helps people globally from all walks of life to overcome depression, enhance their happiness quotient, and to combine dynamic action with mental peace, balance, high ambition, and performance without the frustration. He has spent 30 years in the study, research, and assimilation of Vedanta, management and leadership philosophy, life mastery, spiritual literature of the East and West, human values, and the human mind. So, without much ado, so that you don't listen to too much of me and you will hear more of him, just one final word. He is the author of 2 books, Value System for Success and From Gods to Godhead. Because these books are available as audiobooks, CDs, and DVDs. You probably have to go to his website to find out how to get hold and download this information. So can we put our hands together and welcome to give us the speech, give us his talk, all right, on how to program your mind for happiness. We please welcome Mr. Angajan.
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Thank you, Brother Lee, for that warm welcome. Pujaniya Swami Atmeshanand Ji, the official members and the devotees of the Ramakrishna Center. Thank you for this blessing and honor to be here on this auspicious day of Ekadashi and share some thoughts with you. There is an old fable which I'm sure you're familiar with. human beings had the ability to be eternally happy. But then they abused this privilege of being eternally happy, permanently happy. And they started indulging in all kinds of materialistic, worldly pleasures. And the gods in heaven decided to withdraw that ability, that happiness element. And Lord Indra called the council of gods to find out what to do with this happiness. So one of the gods suggested that maybe we should hide this happiness deep in the bowels of the earth and hide there. But then Indra said, no, these human beings are very clever. They will dig deep into the bowel of the earth and take it out. They'll find it. Then one of the gods suggested, maybe then we should hide it inside the ocean. Deep in the ocean, probably somewhere in the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest portion of the ocean. Then Indra said again, no, these human beings are very clever. They will explore the ocean and find that there also. So what do we do? And suggestion came from another god that probably we should hide it in the tallest peak of a mountain so that human beings cannot reach there because there is no oxygen there. So probably they may not be able to get there. And Indra said that also is not a great idea because these fellows are very smart. They find the way of sometimes taking oxygen there. That's also a solution. Then what do we do? Probably hide it in the deepest jungle where there are wild animals, where human beings are scared to get there. That also was not a viable option. But then another one suggested that the only option left is maybe we must hide in the planet, on moon. Human beings reach there also. And as they were sitting and discussing and contemplating as to what to do, Lord Indra said, I've got an idea. I've got a brainwave. Maybe we must hide it in that place where they will never ever suspect that it is there. And all the gods were very curious to find out what is the suggestion. And Indra said, we must hide the happiness element inside the human beings. They will never ever suspect it. That was a brilliant idea. So that is how they come to believe happiness is within the bosom of every one of us. But we don't look for it there, and we are looking for it everywhere else. And what are we doing? We are digging deep in the bowels of the earth and unearthing gold and diamonds, etc., thinking that we'll find happiness there. Another set of people are scaling mountains, trying to find happiness. One set of scientists are exploring other planets. They're trying to find out if there is water in Mars. The water on Earth itself we are not able to protect, and we want to find water on the Mars and the moon. We do all the exploration with an only idea of finding happiness without realizing there is only one way to find happiness is by reprogramming our own inner self. There's a saying, if you want to be happy for 1 hour, take a nap. If you want to be happy for 1 day, go for picnic. If you want to be happy for 1 week, go for holiday. And if you want to be happy for 1 month, get married. If you want to be happy for a life, for 1 year, inherit a fortune. But if you want to be happy for an entire lifetime, change your attitude from taking to giving. Change our attitude from how we can give happiness to other people. So the only way to find a sustainable happiness is by reprogramming our thought process. One set of people believe we can find happiness by increasing our possessions. But happiness is found by changing our attitude, changing our thinking, changing our thought process. Not by increasing the quantity of our possession, but by improving the quality of our thoughts. From selfish to unselfish, from egocentric to universal. That is the way to reprogram, and the only tool that is available with us is what the legacy that ancient sages and saints have left with us. Simply put, Vedanta. The entire works of Swami Vivekananda is only talking about the tools and technique of reprogramming our mind. So when we assimilate the knowledge of Vedanta, when we imbibe the knowledge of Vedanta, the effect it has upon our personality is a shift in the paradigm. When we imbibe the knowledge of Vedanta, a paradigm shift takes place in our mind. When the paradigm shift happens, the external trials and tribulations and problems and difficulties would not bother us anymore. At the moment, we believe the external situations and circumstances seem to affect us, seem to bother us. But when we are able to bring about a shift in the paradigm with the knowledge of Vedanta, we develop a change of perspective. We begin to change the way we look at the world. The problem is not so much the problem outside, the problem is the way we see the problem. The Western world calls it shift in the paradigm. In Vedanta, we call it opening of the jnana chakshu, opening of the eye of wisdom. As you know, Lord Shiva has got a third eye on his forehead. All right? When the belief is that when he opens the third eye, that disturbing aspect of the world gets destroyed. Now, what does it mean, opening of the jnana chakshu with the knowledge of Vedanta? So that these so-called problems and difficulties and challenges don't affect us anymore. Let me highlight that with an example. There was a family of 3, the father, mother, and a 22-year-old boy, son. They were traveling together in the train from London to one of the neighboring cities. A very happy family, very joyously they were traveling. The father, mother, and the boy. The boy was occupying the window seat. Next to it, the son, the mother, and the father. Very happy family. And there were many other fellow passengers, obviously. Some of them were reading, some were listening to their audiobooks or whatever. Very peaceful journey, except a very peculiar behavior by this 22-year-old boy. And what was he doing? He was occupying the window seat and is looking through the window as the train is moving. And everything that he sees outside, he gets excited. What does he see? Normal sight, nothing extraordinary. He would see the cars moving, the buses, the vehicle, and of course the visual illusion. As the train is moving ahead, all the trees and everything is moving behind, and he was very, very fascinated. And he's trying to get the parents' attention and say, Mommy, look at the car, look at the bus, look at this, look at that. And eventually it started snowing. And he saw this peculiar sight, the flakes of snow falling. And he is jumping and dancing and screaming and shouting just at the ordinary sight. And this was a positive annoyance for the fellow passengers. They looked at the boy, looked at the father and mother, and they were keeping quiet. What is he doing? Why is he making noise like this? Went on for about 15-20 minutes. Finally, one of the fellow passengers got the father's attention and said, "Sir, can you see your son's behavior? There is something wrong with his brain. How can he behave like this 20-year-old boy? How can he behave like a 3-year-old child? There's something wrong with his brain. You need to take him to a doctor." And then the father said, "Oh yes, sir. We're just coming from the hospital. My son was born blind. Somebody donated him 2 eyes. He's seeing the world for the very first time." As soon as they heard that the boy is seeing the world for the very first time, immediately something happened in their mind. A paradigm shifted. So when the paradigm shifted, did the boy's behavior agitate him? Did the boy's behavior affect them? Not at all. Alright? The boy didn't change his behavior. He was continuing to behave the way he was. But what happens is, when they realized the truth, when they understood why the boy was behaving that way, immediately a change took place, a shift took place. This is what we call the paradigm shift. And when the paradigm shift happened, what was an irritating experience, an annoying experience erstwhile, did not bother them anymore. Why? They got the right knowledge. Similarly, ladies and gentlemen, in our life, the knowledge of Vedanta gives us the right understanding as to what the world is, what our life is. It gives us the wisdom so that we don't have to worry about changing the world, but we are able to change our perspective. As a result, you are able to enjoy every situation, every experience that we live, that we go through. Otherwise, see, if you look at the world today, the entire humanity, unfortunately, is programmed with the idea that in order to experience happiness and peace, we need to change the world. And everybody is trying to change the world. And one set of people, they go on trying to change the world, and if they can't find the satisfaction, if the world doesn't change, they're so frustrated, all right? They're so stressed and frustrated, and the frustration becomes too much. One set of people go and commit suicide. And rest of the people commit suicide by installment. If you are leading a very stressful life, that is what I would call commit suicide by installment. Change of circumstance, one set of people, you can change your house, you can change your spouse, you can change your country, you can change your nationality, you can change your look, beauty. None of them will bring a happiness unless we change our perspective, unless we change the way we look at the world. That's exactly represented by the Lord Shiva's Jnana Chakru, the eye of wisdom. And when that eye of wisdom opens, we don't look at the world the way we were looking. At the moment, we have a very sensual or materialistic perspective of the world, and that is causing stress and unhappiness. So the paradigm shift. And that can come about only with the knowledge of Vedanta. So when we gradually, little by little, slowly assimilate the knowledge of Vedanta, one of the mindset transformation that happens to us, we develop vairagya, detachment. One of the very essential mental disposition, very essential mental attitude to develop the spirit of vairagya, detachment. Now the word detachment or vairagya scares people. They misunderstand the word vairagya means running away from the world, our worldly pleasures and enjoyment to an isolation. That is not vairagya. See, at the moment, if you analyze, every single one of us are attached to something or the other. Now, these concepts are, as you are followers of Vedanta, are not new to you. Probably I am giving a different perspective, that's all. Every single one of us are attached to something or the other. Yes or no? We are attached to our house, our spouse, our children, our wealth, our family, our dogs, our whatever it is. All right? There is so much of attachment. This attachment creates mental agitation, anxiety. Here is a young boy, a young man. All right? He went through 5 or 7 years of grueling time in the university. He completed the university and he come out of the university with flying colors. He's very successful, and then, he's still living under the umbrella of the parents. All right, and he got a job now. He starts earning money. And when he starts earning money, what's the first thing that he does with the money? A young boy. Buy a car. All right. He's been dreaming to buy a brand new car, and he bought it. He bought this brand new car, and on a Friday afternoon, he went to the garage, the dealer, and took the car delivery. All right. And he's very excited. Now he feels like he's a man. He got his dream car. And next day morning, one of his best friends come to his house on a Saturday morning. His best friend comes home and he wants to test drive his brand new car. If you happen to be that boy, all right, and your friend wants to test drive your brand new car, and the friend just got the license 2 weeks ago, how would you feel? Pressure? No. How do you feel? Not comfortable. Why? Because it's attached. And you usually on a Saturday, he wakes up about 10 o'clock because it's a holiday. But this particular Saturday, on the road, 5 o'clock, he's up, he's going to the garage and looking around the car, he's feeling it, touching it, beautiful, he's happy. And as he's touching and feeling the car, he's so excited, and he opened the door and he can smell the brand new leather, he's enjoying it. And as he's doing all that, he sees a deep scratch on the bonnet. A permanent scratch on his heart. When we are attached to something, whatever happens to that object of attachment happens to you. When we are attached to something, whatever happens to that object of attachment happens to you. When we are attached to the children, whatever happened to the child happened to us. That is why you find very often, if there's a young mother who's got a newborn child, all right, when the child's temperature goes up, the mother's temperature also goes up. Whatever happens to the child happens to the mother. Ideally, when the child is suffering from temperature, mother is the one who should be calm and equanimous, but that doesn't happen. Usually in the Indian household, if the daughter is writing the year 12 exam, the whole family is writing the exam. The house is like a funeral house. Everybody is tensed. Why attached? When you're attached to something, whatever happens to that object of being happen to you. So here is the boy who got his brand new car, and he's very excited that he's got the car, and his friend comes home, wants to test drive, he's uncomfortable, but he's a best friend, you can't say no to him. Very reluctantly, he gives him the key to drive. And he says, I will come with you. I want to let you go alone. All right? So when he's driving his brand new car, he's so attached because it's his dream car. What happens? When he's driving his dream car, every time the car hits the pothole, it hits his heart. Easy. Why attachment? Whatever happens to the car happens to him. Supposing the car that he's got is not His car, it is given by the company. He's a big shot in the company. He's done a good job for his company, and the company gives him the permission to buy the dream of, or the choicest of cars. And he bought a brand new car. Company pays for it, company maintains it, everything is done by the company. All right? He doesn't own it, the company owns it, he drives it. And his friend comes home, and if the friend wants to test drive the company car, how does he feel? Oh, by all means, no problem. I'll come with you. All right, I'll take you for a test drive. When the boy is driving, or when the best friend is test driving the company car, what happened? No anxiety. Why? Because every time the car hits a pothole, he enjoys the suspension. Spring action, so beautiful. When the car is his own, he's attached, he's become possessive, he suffers. When the car belongs to the company, is not attached, he enjoys it. So the law is there. We have no choice but to develop the spirit of detachment. It could be our family member, our children, our house, our money, our whatever it is. To the extent that there is attachment, or attachment and suffering and pain is directly proportional. Greater the intensity of the attachment, the more emotional pain that we go through. That is the law. We can't change it. I can't change it. All right? So the knowledge of Vedanta develop that spirit of detachment. And with that spirit of detachment, we will be going through the challenges. Think about it. We can never ever find happiness by reducing the number of problems. But we can definitely find happiness by developing the right mental disposition. We can never reduce the number of problems, because if I were to give you a definition of life, what is life? The definition of life is a continuous solution to problems. Life is a constant solution to problems. Where there are no problems, there is no life. I often say there is only one generation of people in the world who have no problems at all. There's only one generation of people in the world. They have no problems, absolutely no problems at all. And where you find them?
Graveyard.
In the graveyard, correct? All right. They have no problems at all. Meaning, if you are living, please understand, you must congratulate yourself. If you have problems, congratulate yourself that you are living. That's a fact. Life cannot be without challenges, because that's what life is all about. But what happens is, we want to live a problem-free life. It's not possible. There are people who want a problem-free job. Hello? Those of you working, don't you want a problem-free job? You want, right? Now, if you are looking for a problem-free job, a trouble-free job, I'll ask you the question. The question is, do you get paid when you're working? Yes. Where you're quiet. Do you get paid or not when you're working? You do get paid. What are you getting paid for? Solving problems? Yes. You're getting paid for solving problems. Thank God your company has got problem, you have a job. Thank God you have problem, people like us have a job. That's a fact. Otherwise you won't come and listen to us. See, what we need to understand, life can never be without challenges, but you can find happiness by developing the right mindset, the spirit of detachment. You cannot develop that overnight. It is a gradual process. All right. The second reprogramming that we can do is to develop the spirit of gratitude, an attitude of thankfulness. Our mind, because we never trained our mind, because we never bothered to reprogram our mind always thinks selfishly. As a result, selfish mind always look at things that we don't have and totally ignore the blessings, the priceless blessings that we have. As a result, we never find happiness. It is one of the simplest practical solution, but we miss it. It's so easy. It's so simple, not necessarily easy. It is simple, but not necessarily easy. But we miss it. To develop the spirit of gratitude, to develop the attitude of gratitude. It doesn't take money from you. You don't need money to practice. You don't need time. You just need to be aware of the blessings that you have. Two practices, two exercises that you need to do. Or I would say the two words you got to remember. They are think and thank. Think of all the priceless blessings that you have, blessings that money cannot buy, and thank the providence. If your mind is saturated with the spirit of gratitude for the blessings that the money cannot buy, there is no way stress and pain and unhappiness will enter our mind, regardless of how trying your situations are. You might say, Angajanji, if you listen to my situation, even you will change your philosophy. No, this regardless of the most challenging situation, if you learn to focus upon the countless blessings that you have. See, the problem is we totally ignore all those countless blessings that we have, and we focus upon one thing that we don't have or one thing that we lost. And that is when our mind gets, filled with pain, stress, and suffering. Our Shastra say, in the Mahabharata, it says that there is expiation for killing a Brahmin. There is expiation for killing a Brahmin. There is expiation means atonement. There is expiation for cutting down trees. Ancient times, even cutting a tree for no reason considered to be a crime. There is expiation for cutting down tree, but there is no expiation for ingratitude. And we are all ungrateful. There is no expiation for ingratitude. William Shakespeare says, ingratitude more strong than traitor's arms quite vanquished him. Julius Caesar, he says, ingratitude more strong than traitor's arms quite vanquished him. Meaning, to be ungrateful is the most atrocious crime we can ever commit. Imagine, you have received a lot of favors, you have received a lot of benefit from somebody, right? Somebody, without any expectation, you received a lot of favor from a person, and you go back and stab the person behind. You think that is atrocious? To stab behind the benefactor? Shakespeare says, to be ungrateful is a worse crime than killing a benefactor. Ingratitude more strong than traitor's arms. Meaning, when we are not counting the blessings that we have, blessings that money cannot buy. See, when I say blessing, if you say you have a big house, you got a big car, you have a good job, or you got a good business, etc., then you don't know what blessing is. That's not what the blessing I'm talking about. Blessings that the money cannot buy. You can have $1 million or $10 million. There are certain blessings you cannot buy. I often narrate this situation that I came across many, many years ago of a gentleman. Now this person, very affluent, everything is positive, right? Now he's suffering from a very rare disease. That is the paralysis of the esophagus. When you chew food and swallow, the food reaches the stomach because of the activation of this esophagus, the pipe, all right, that the muscles work and take the food to the stomach, all right. The food reaches the stomach, it's not because of gravity, all right, meaning if you stand up, upside down and eat, the food will still reach the stomach. Don't try it, all right. But so the food reaches, so this particular gentleman, his esophagus is paralyzed, and he's not eaten food for many years. You may wonder how he survives. Medical science has developed so much so that he's got a hole on the side. All the food and nutrition is fed into the intestine through a pipe. Digestive system is perfect, his respiratory system is perfect, everything is perfect, except that pipe is paralyzed. He's not eaten food for many years. Yes, your body may receive the nutrition, perfect. But what about the taste bud? One of our strongest temptation is our taste bud. Taste. Now this person, you know what he does? Breakfast, lunch and dinner, just to satisfy his taste bud. He chews the food and he has to throw it out. He has to spit it out. He can't swallow it. Just to satisfy the taste bud. He chews it and throw it. Lunch and dinner, that is what he does. But what do? We can enjoy our breakfast, we can enjoy our dinner, we can enjoy lunch, everything. But our complaint is, I can't take my family to a classy restaurant. That is being ungrateful. So gratitude means every morning you got to keep a gratitude journal, as they say. Try this for next 1 month. Try this experiment, right? Write down 3 things every morning that you have which money cannot buy. It could be your kidneys functioning properly. It could be a pancreas functioning properly. It could be that you are able to breathe properly. And not only the physical body, even the external. Right? There are countless blessings that are functioning so meticulously, but we take all of those for granted, don't we? See, our ungrateful mind takes everything in the world for granted. Simple things like the law of gravity. Did you ever realize if the law of gravity stops working, what will happen? If the law of gravity stops working, what happens?
We start flying.
You start flying. Only you will start flying? Sorry? Everybody else, right? Only everybody will start flying. Everything, the chairs, everything will be floating. It won't stay there, isn't it? Not only the things. Let me expand my example a little more. Pardon my example, but it tries to the point. All right. Now, Brother Uni announced that we're going to have sumptuous lunch. All right. You had a sumptuous lunch. All right. And then you go home. You have an afternoon siesta, and then you go for another function. You have another sumptuous dinner. All right. And your stomach, digestive system is functioning so properly. Everything is well. And tomorrow morning, and when you go to the toilet and you sit there to evacuate, law of gravity is not working. Can you imagine the situation? Aren't we taking law of gravity for granted? One law. Like there are hundreds of laws functioning in this world, which is actually making us live this life. And yet, our focus is always upon things that we lost or things that we don't have. That, William Shakespeare says, is ungrateful, is ingratitude. There are thousands of things. See, the nature is so immaculately designed such a way that it is so beautifully orchestrated for our happiness and success. The design of nature, there are different seasons rolling by. And according to the change of season, there are different fruits and vegetables appearing in nature. Isn't it? Winter, as the winter comes, nature brings, fruits saturated with the vitamin C or the citric fruits. That's exactly what we need during winter, isn't it? Who designed it? We don't know. And then summer comes, you have fruits that is saturated with the juice like watermelon, usually come in summer. Now who designed it? There seems to be a supreme intelligence. There seems to be a supreme intelligence that is beautifully orchestrating the entire system. All right? To that intelligence, my gratitude. Now that is what our prayer should be. If you pray, there are 2 types of prayer. All right? The difference is only in the spelling. The one type of prayer is P-R-E-Y and the other type of prayer is P-R-A-Y. Now, do we realize when we pray, we are actually praying, that is P-R-E-Y. We go to the temple, we go to the shrine, we close our palm, close our eyes and say, oh God, please take care of my health. Oh God, please look after my business. Oh God, please take care of my house. When we pray, P-R-E-Y, do we realize we are bringing God to the level of a security guard to look after your business? When we pray that way, we are bringing God to the level of a bodyguard to take care of your health. That's not what God designed for. The true prayer is P-R-A-Y. Now what is that P-R-A-Y? When we are in the place of worship, we close our palms and close our eyes. Oh God, I'm grateful that I'm alive. Millions of people got killed during this COVID, isn't it? Many people closed their business down, had to close their business down, and many, many other repercussions, right? But just the fact if you're alive, that's enough to be grateful. I can multiply examples like that. But the point is we need to understand. The real prayer is expression of gratitude to that supreme providence. So one of the things that we need to reprogram our mind is, instead of focusing upon things that we don't have, shift our focus upon the blessings that we have. Think of all the blessings, and you don't need to even thank. When you count your blessing, right? When you acutely become conscious of all the blessings that we have, right? Acute awareness of the benevolence of nature. When you develop that acute awareness, your mind gets saturated with the spirit of gratitude. Your mind gets filled with the spirit of gratitude. Thereafter, the attitude that follows thereafter is the spirit of giving, spirit of serving, spirit of sacrifice. That is why I said in the beginning, if you want to be happy for a lifetime, we need to change our mindset from receiving it to giving. And all of us are blessed with many things to give. Now, when we talk to give, it doesn't have to be money, food, clothing. Those are the small things that we get. But there are much more, simple things like wish happiness for the other. So gratitude, that when you keep counting your blessing, automatically your mind gets saturated with the spirit of gratitude, and that is when the reciprocity begins. We begin to live a life of giving, serving, and sacrifice. Now, when I say giving, serving, and sacrifice, no matter what we do, we always think in terms of, will it benefit the world? Will it benefit outside? Whether you're running a business, if you're thinking in terms of my customers first. Customers first. Then the employees, then the suppliers, then lastly the investors. But those business people who are highly strung, extremely stressed, going through worries and anxiety, they may have a palatial mansion, and when they go and lie down in the bed to sleep, they're tossing in the bed, can't fall off to sleep. Why? Because they think about the investor first. Me first, because I have put the money into it. And then customer, if at all, comes last. That is where now those people, there are many, many outstanding entrepreneurs in our society who live a life of customers first. They go to any extent of satisfying the customers. And they are the one who are able to maintain the equanimity and serenity while them being dynamic. One of the problems that most of us face is that as our responsibilities increases, as our business grows, our mental pressure also increases along with that. Yes or no? Yeah. If you joined a company as an employee, and you joined as a probably supervisor, and you grow from supervisor to manager, manager to senior manager, general manager to vice president, so on and so forth. As you grow, your mental pressure also increases. And when the mental pressure increases, most people take that mental pressure as a natural corollary of a dynamic life. They take stress as a natural corollary. When you are in the corporate, you will be stressed. It doesn't have to be. All right. There are many people that I know living a highly successful corporate life, but they have a peace of mind. Business people, as well, I'm sure you know as well. Now, what is the difference? Only thing is that their attitude is always in terms of what can I do, how can I contribute, how can I add value to the world. So this is the reprogramming that we need to do, from instead of receiving to giving. That is why when we chant the mantra, some of the mantra that we chanted, one of the mantra that we often chant is Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings in all the world be happy. Right? That is the spirit. But for my happiness, myself, my family, my children, and of course my dogs also. Some people have got half a dozen or dozen dogs. Right? So that is where the problem, the focus is always upon my happiness. See, happiness works on the principle of reciprocity. Happiness works on the principle of reciprocity, meaning happiness has got a very strange mathematics. Right? That is, if you divide, it multiplies. Happiness, when you divide it, it multiplies. Meaning, if you share the happiness, your happiness multiplies. That is what I mean by loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings in all the world be happy. And we chant sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Let everybody exist. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Let everybody experience peace. Sarvesham mangalam bhavatu. Let everybody have their welfare in life. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Let everybody be happy. Now when we chant this mantra, we are actually wishing the welfare of the world. When we genuinely wish the welfare of the world, that is when happiness comes to you. Happiness works on the principle of reciprocity, meaning if you really wish happiness for the other people, you become happy. But our own ego and selfishness does not allow us to see other people's success. Our ego and selfishness does not allow us to enjoy seeing somebody else flourishing, somebody else growing, somebody else becoming successful. What happens is our own ego and selfishness produces envy in us. What is envy? Envy is a feeling of discontentment at somebody else's success. Envy is a feeling of discontentment at somebody else's success and happiness. Whereas true devotee, a human being, is one who's genuinely happy for somebody else's happiness. By wishing happiness and success for the other people, my question to you, do you lose anything? Do you miss anything? We don't. But our ego doesn't allow that. This is what we call as crab mentality. I'm sure you've heard of the story of crab mentality. Yeah? No? Okay. There was a businessman, alright? Indian businessman. His business was exporting crabs, right? He used to export crabs to different parts of the world. And he used to export live crabs. Not dead, live crabs, right? And what's unique, he used to export this crab in an open basket. He never used to seal the basket, right? And the person who was receiving crab at the other part of the world phoned him and asked him, hey, how's that you fellows exporting crabs in an open basket? Don't the crab jump off? He said, no. Why? The Indian crabs never jump off. And he said, Indian crabs also have got the mentality of people. What do you mean? And then he said, when one crab tried to climb up, all the other crabs pull him down, no crab jumps out. And eventually all the crab perishes. By the way, it's not Indian mindset, it's a universal mindset. Because we are driven by ego and selfishness. The businesses in the world is driven by ego and selfishness. The moment our life is driven by ego and selfishness, when you find somebody else is more successful, flourishing, happy, we feel jealous, we feel envy, and that is when that brings our own downfall. Ego is such a strange thing that when ego doesn't see, when our ego cannot enjoy the other people's happiness, it brings our own downfall. That's what ego does. Once there was a sculptor, a very, very renowned sculptor. Now the sculptor was brilliant, very, very talented, all right? And he's unique, outstanding sculptor. You can look at any one of you, right, and create your sculpture. And it looks exactly like the original. It's actually better than the original, all right? He can create such a beautiful sculpture. Now, he crossed 70 years, all right? And Lord Yama is the god of death in Hindus, right? And Yama was going through the list, and he found, okay, this person crossed 70, he's due. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting anything, all right? All right? So he thought, okay, it's due. So Yama was coming down to earth to take his life, right? And this man was clever. In order to escape death, in order to dodge death, he devised an ingenious method. So what he did is, he created his own statues, hundreds of his own idols and statues. He created it, and he spread it in a huge ground, hundreds or thousands of them. And he spread it in a huge ground, and he himself was hiding among the statues. the sculptor, he was also hiding among the statues. So when the god of death, Yama, came, he saw thousands of his own statues. He couldn't identify who's the actual man. He couldn't identify who's actually the original man. And he accepted defeat. All right? He accepted defeat. He went back to heaven. And he approached Lord Shiva and said, look, I've got a problem. I can't find this man. He's due. He's trying to dodge me. He's trying to escape me. Can you give me a solution? And Lord Shiva gave him an advice. He said, you go back and do this, you can find him immediately. Few days later, Yama came back. And the sculptor was with the same trick. Right? He was hiding among thousands of his own statues. So this time, Yama praised him to the skies and said, you are such a fantastic sculptor. You've done an amazing job. You've done a fantastic job. All right? Everything is a beautiful masterpiece. Fantastic job, but you made a small mistake. As soon as Yama said you made a small mistake, the actual person got up and said, what's the mistake that I made? He said, this is exactly the mistake that you made. You know, that I'm such a brilliant sculptor, I'm such a renowned sculptor, making a mistake. Tell me what's the mistake that I made. Yama said, that's exactly the mistake that you made. Our ego brings our own downfall. Now, if you look at business people who went down, if you look at the countries that went down, it's because egoistic people were ruling. So, ego and selfishness are the two factors that actually bring our own downfall. So we got to change from unselfishness, egocentricity to unselfishness. So that is the way to reprogram. So when you become acutely aware of the blessings that we have, that's all that we need to do. To literally count the blessing. Write your journal every day. 3 blessings that money cannot buy today. And tomorrow, another 3 blessings. Day after tomorrow, third 3 blessings. And by the time of 30 days, at the end of the month, when you go through all of those, my God, I have nothing to complain about in life. Literally, I have nothing to complain about. Because when you compare your life to so many other people, you realize that, really, really blessed. So keep that gratitude journal, right? And then, lastly, contentment. Contentment, a feeling of satisfaction in everything that we do. Now, a lot of people misunderstand the spirit of contentment as a life of aspirationlessness, ambitionlessness. No, that is not what Vedanta espouses. Tripti, santosha, they're all the words representing the word contentment. 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita describes 35 qualities of a bhakta, 35 devotees of God. And one of the quality he talks about is contentment. All right. Now, contentment, a lot of people misunderstand that I want to be very contented. I don't want anything more. I'm going to give up my business and profession, etc. Lead a life of contentment. Contentment doesn't mean you have no aspiration. You can have aspiration. If you're a human being, you need to have the aspiration to grow. That is okay. All right? If you're a businessman, you need to think about growing your business. All right? And why you want to grow the business? Not just to make the money. Of course, you need to make the money. You want to grow the business because people need jobs. You can create employment. All right? So, number one, contentment means aspiration. You've got to have the aspiration. All right? Why you have the aspiration? The second aspect is gratitude for what you have. When you are aspiring for more, it could be a university student trying to get another degree or your master's, etc. Or you could be a businessman trying to grow your business. You could be a professional trying to grow your profession. Whatever it is, in the aspiration to grow more, we completely forget the blessing. So aspiration for more, number one. Number two, gratitude for what you have. Number three, patience for what you want to achieve. But the problem today is that universities will teach us to be aspirational, but they don't teach us gratitude and patience. In fact, the entire education today is focusing upon how to make more money. So the two aspects, gratitude and patience. Now, if you actually analyze the humanity today, we are an absolutely impatient society. No patience. And the world is making us more and more impatient. Everything we want faster, isn't it? You know, I happened to walk into the iStore, the Apple store, and the person was explaining to me, the consultant was explaining to me the latest MacBook, all right? What is this M2 chip or whatever? And I asked her, what is the difference? It's faster. Things happen very fast. And what is before M2? M1. M1 itself is fast enough, but we find that it's too slow. Today, our mind is so restless that we cannot stay quiet even for a few minutes. Absolutely restless. You know, you would observe that. I'm sure you observe it, right? We flew from Brisbane to Sydney, for example, right? Flight has landed, and it's taxiing. As soon as the flight stops, everybody pull out the bag. It will take at least about 5-10 minutes before you can get on the plane, isn't it? But we don't have the patience to sit another few more minutes. Impatience. We want everything so quick. You know, those of you, I'm sure many of you follow cricket, right? Remember those days, people really, really enjoyed Test cricket. 5 days, all right? We could sit and watch 5 days cricket, and even if there's no result, we are happy. We could enjoy the match and on its own, all right? Doesn't have to be a winner, all right? That was the mindset. We could simply sit and enjoy just, the person keep bowling, all right? And the batter keep playing. He may not be even taking run. After 15 balls, there's no run. People are happy. People are patient. And then Test match was reduced from 5 days to 3 days. Even 3 days was too long. 3 days match. And then eventually, 3 days match was reduced to 60 overs. 1983, when India won the World Cup, all right? The ODI, One Day International, were 60 overs. And they found 60 overs were too long. And they brought it down to 50 overs. 50 overs, One Day International. But 50 overs was a whole day sitting and watching cricket. Now you have T20. All right? You hit the ball left, right, and center, and people don't really understand cricket. If a batter hit a ball, a dangerous shot, it goes for 6, everybody claps. But the classical, traditional cricketer will enjoy Test match because they're patient. Can you imagine our deterioration of patience? Look at the movies that we watch. Look at the music that we watch. Olden days, if you look at the movie about 40, 50 years ago, the scenes were very, very slow, isn't it? We could sit and watch the scene. But today, 10 seconds, there are about 25 scenes. Suddenly you find that hero is dancing in Himalayas, in Kashmir somewhere. Next, after 3 seconds, it is deep in Kanyakumari somewhere. And the next second is in Europe or in all happens in 10 seconds. So fast, because we're impatient. Now, the transformation of mindset, and assimilating the knowledge of it. Now, by the way, when we talk about impatience, we often blame the children. Now, adults are equally impatient. It's not the children they're impatient. After all, they learn from us. So, aspiration for more, contentment has got 3 elements. Aspiration for more, gratitude for what you have, and patience for what you want to achieve. Patience means between effort and result, there is a time span. Patience is the ability to accept the time span. Now, we are not able to tolerate the time span today. Now, from effort, everybody wants quick result. And if we can't get quick result, that is when they become corrupt. When you start a business, to really see the profit or at least break even, take over 5 years. All right? And that is when you really enjoy the fruit of your labor. But we don't want to wait for 5 years. We want to see the result in 1 year, 2 years. Impatience. All right? So when we assimilate the knowledge of Vedanta, our mind becomes mature. All right? And our mind becomes mature. Our paradigm shifts. The way we look at the world changes. And what is agitating us now will stop agitating more. So to summarize, all right, reprogramming your mind for happiness. First of all, we need to understand that it is not outside, it is an internal phenomenon. Happiness is an inside job. And how do we unpack that happiness? All right. Number one, we got to be acutely aware of the blessings that we have. And then automatically you will live a life of service and sacrifice, and naturally your patience also increases. With that note, on that note, I'll conclude the Shanti part. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Brother Pundi mentioned about the books that I have authored. I've carried Swamiji's given us permission to bring it along and tell you that they are available. We've got copies available in case you want to look at it. From Gods to Godhead, and some of the audio books available in the flash drive, like 12 Habits of Highly Happy People, The Power of Positive Mental Attitude, Stress Management, and discourses on various topics, The Art of Successful Parenting, How to Make Your Spouse Your Best Friend. Right? How to make your spouse your best friend. These are some of the topics available. Those who are interested and probably will get a chance to display that. Swamiji, my pranams. Thank you so much for this opportunity and blessing.
Thank you very much, Swami.